My name is Lena, and I want to share my story with you, honestly and openly. Some people might judge me, while others may feel sympathy, but I want honesty above all. I am the other woman. I am involved with a married man, and this is my truth. I am not here to make excuses or seek pity. I only want to tell my story. I just want to explain how I found myself in this complicated and painful situation. It all started by chance. When I met him, I had no idea he was married. He was charming, confident, and had a spark in his eyes that completely captivated me. His presence made me feel special, as if I were the only person in existence. At first, everything was innocent. We talked, laughed, and enjoyed each other's company with ease. There was an undeniable connection between us, one I never expected, but my feelings deepened. Then I discovered the truth. He had a wife and family, a life I wasn't part of. By the time I found out, it was already too late. I had fallen deeply. He told me his marriage was unhappy, that he stayed only for his children's sake. He said his home was just a house, not a place filled with love or happiness. He described his life as empty, and he told me that I was his escape. I believed him, or maybe I simply wanted to believe him, because I loved him. At first, I convinced myself our relationship was temporary and one day, he'd choose me. I imagined a future where we wouldn't have to hide, where we could be together. But as time passed, I realized he might never leave his wife for me. Yet I stayed. Why? Because even though it hurt, he made me feel loved. He gave me attention, affection, and support. I told myself that was better than loneliness. I knew my place in his life was convenient for him, without responsibilities or burdens. With me, he could escape his reality and enjoy the moments we shared together. But I wasn't just his secret. I made the choice to stay, despite knowing everything. I held on to those rare, happy moments, convincing myself I truly meant something. I often questioned why I stayed. Was it fear of loneliness or emotional attachment? Was I clinging to a man who could never truly be mine, out of desperation? Or was it hope? Hope that one day things would change, and he'd choose me? I knew his wife saw me as the enemy, and honestly, I couldn't blame her. If I were in her position, I might hate myself too, for what I'd done. But I lived in my own world, a world built on dreams and stolen moments. I longed for stability, a real family, something true, not just fleeting happiness. Sometimes I imagined if we had a child, would that change things between us? Would he finally choose me then? But deep inside, I knew it was fantasy. As time passed, I spent nights awake, thinking about the reality of my life. Was this truly what I wanted? Could I keep waiting for something uncertain forever? I started realizing that I deserved more. Yet fear kept me trapped in place. Walking away meant losing the only love I had known for years, and that hurt. Some days, I convinced myself everything would work out, that he would finally choose me. I pictured a home filled with love, laughter, and happiness, but those dreams were temporary. Most of the time, I felt lost, trapped in an endless cycle of hope and disappointment. I wasn't living for myself anymore. I was living for him, his choices, his decisions. I confided in my friends, expressing my doubts and fears, hoping for clarity and understanding. They told me I deserved better, someone who would choose me without hesitation or secrecy. They said I needed someone who would love me openly, without conditions or hidden intentions. At first, I resisted their words, blinded by the love I believed was real. But one day, something inside me changed. I couldn't keep waiting for him anymore. I had to decide for myself. Staying meant always being second, always living in shadows. I gathered all my strength and finally spoke to him about everything I felt inside. I told him I couldn't continue like this, that I needed more than stolen moments. I explained that I wanted a real future, not just a love kept in hiding. He listened carefully, but in the end, he couldn't give me what I needed. He said he loved me, but he couldn't leave his wife, no matter what. In that moment, I understood the truth. He never would, and he never planned to. Walking away was the hardest thing I had ever done, but it was necessary. My heart shattered into pieces, and the pain felt unbearable, like losing everything I had. But deep down, I knew I couldn't keep living in a love built on sadness. The days after our final conversation were some of the hardest moments of my life. I felt empty, lost and completely alone, struggling to accept my new reality. But slowly, I began to heal, realizing I didn't need him to feel whole. I started focusing on my own happiness, surrounding myself with family, friends, and new experiences. I traveled, rediscovered my passions, and set new goals that were just for me. Months passed, and with each day, I grew stronger, learning valuable lessons about love. I realized I didn't need to be with someone to feel worthy or valued. I deserved a love that was honest, open, and free from guilt or secrecy. One day, I met someone new, someone kind, respectful, and completely different from my past. He listened to me, and I listened to him. We had no secrets, only truth. We spent time together, and for the first time in years, I felt truly happy. I realized I was ready for a fresh start, leaving behind the pain and regrets. I was no longer the woman waiting for a man who couldn't choose her fully. I had learned my worth, found my peace, and embraced a future filled with possibilities. True love is not about waiting endlessly or being someone's second choice. It's about respect. Love is about honesty, loyalty, and being with someone who truly cherishes you every day. If my story resonates with you, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for listening.